my top NBA 2023-2024 storylines are as follows. But before we talk about the storylines, I got to give y'all one, the criteria, and then two, well, the tiers, right? Because it's always levels to this. It's always levels to this. So for starters, we have my top storylines, like the top five, all right? That's the top tier. Then you got the entertaining ones, okay? That's that next five. And then finally, of course, the honorable mentions. And again, these are the storylines, the top storylines that at least I'll be covering for 2023 and 2024. Will there be some anomalies? Yes. Will there be some ones that I talk about also? Sure. But these are the ones that I'm focusing on. So I hope you all are ready because we're about to talk about the criteria and y'all know how that goes. So my first point for the criteria, it's got to hit, well, the masses. If these storylines are not going to be able to captivate you, like, why would it really matter? Like it's got to be entertaining. And speaking of entertaining as well, it's also got to be entertaining, not just to the casual fans, but the basketball fans. Those basketball fans who, like myself, follow the draft, follow the free agency, follow the contracts, hell, even read documentation like that you don't really care to so much. Like, come on now. So if it's hitting both of those two entities, well, we good. So I gave y'all the listing, the tiers, and then I gave y'all the criteria. So now we got to go ahead and kick off this year's top NBA storylines, at least for my show. All right. So look, we're going to talk about the honorable mentions. It's, of course, obvious we're going to have to start off with them. It's an honor for them to be up here, hence the name honorable mention. So there's about 7 teams to talk about. Real quick, though, we're just going to speak to them real fast. So with that being said, we got to talk about the team that went to the finals, the Miami Heat. I mean, are they going to have the status quo? Will they actually make a trade this season? Remember, they did get to the finals off of what some people would call one of the worst teams in NBA history based off draft status. They haven't really changed too much. In fact, they actually lost some players and then drafted a couple, but we'll see how it works out. But right now, it's looking like they have the status quo. So questions are, will Jimmy and Bam be enough? Because, yes, that's what got them to the finals last year. Remember that. But then we also got to factor in, well, are they an NBA duo? Where's their rank? Do they need to dominate? All that stuff. Like, that's what we need to focus on with Jimmy and Bam Adebayo. And I'm happy we can look at them now. I was curious about Bam last season. We also got here Tyler Hero. What's his value? Well, remember, again, like I said, the Heat got to the finals last year without Tyler Hero. Could they do it again? Well, possibly. But if Tyler Hero, showcases, hey, I can bring in 25 points a game, 5 assists, stuff like that, that's taking pressure off Jimmy. That's taking pressure off Bam offensively. Now they can push their focus a little bit more defensively, save their energy just a little bit more. So again, Tyler Hero's value is going to be quite key to focus on, because if it's quite high, well, you could flip him if you want to for another star player or a star player, possibly. We'll see what happens. Like, maybe the Clippers want to take Tyler Hero off your hands and give you PG. I doubt it, but that's a situation that's a situation I'd like to trade Tyler Hero for, if possible, if you're trying to win a championship right now. But that's the Miami Heat for you, status quo, and you should expect to see them in the playoffs at least. We also got here the Minnesota Timberwolves, and this one's going to be cut and dry. We're going to be focusing on about 3 people. Yes, the team, but we're really paying attention to Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns. Karl-Anthony Towns just got an extension. Anthony Edwards just got an extension. Whose team is it? I say Anthony Edwards. I think it should be Anthony Edwards. But those two have to dominate and have to showcase. There's no issue between that duo. And then if we can do that, well, now we got to look at Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert, well, you're a former decoy, multiple-time decoy, by the way. Can we get some value? Can we get the same value that your contract is worth? I don't believe so, but prove me wrong. Prove the doubters wrong, because you still are a rim protector. And if you can give me about 15 points a game, which you should be able to do, just a little bit more offensive production, Rudy. If you could have ever developed a jump shot, that would have been smooth. But we got to see you put some respect on your name. because now a lot of people are trying to slander you, talking about Rudy Gobert's overvalued. Again, I might be on that wagon as well. Tough. But those are the three things we're going to be focusing on for the Wolves. Essentially, will they be ready? Because they do have the team, the talent to actually make things interesting in the West. I'm thinking second round Western Conference, possible Western Conference if everything works out perfectly. But, we got to see how that shakes. But that's a storyline to follow, ladies and gentlemen. That is a storyline to follow. Next, now we got to talk about the Hawks. All right, the Atlanta Hawks. They have Trae Young, but their team is quite young. And we got to look at their development. Now, Trae Young is a quality point guard, right? My question is he going to be top 5? Like top 5 in the NBA, that's something to consider because we have people like Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Damian Lillard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, is he hitting that 5th spot? Because then you also got to talk about people like LaMelo Ball. Hell, some Drew Holiday supporters are out there. Like, ladies and gentlemen, it's not as cut and dry to say he'll be top 5. So again, that's my question mark and storyline for this season. Will Trae Young actually become a top 5 NBA point guard? Not player, NBA point guard. Then we also got who is going to support their duo, DeJounte Murray and Trae Young. I already told you about Trae Young. DeJounte Murray is at least a fringe all-star caliber player. Worst case, who's going to support them? Who's going to step up? Will it be Clint Capella? I don't know. But this is a good season for him because John Collins did just leave. But again, those are my storylines for the Hawks. Trae Young's development as a top 5 guard, and then who's going to help out that duo. I'll be focusing on that this season a lot. Now we got to talk about the Thunder, though. Okay, the Thunder. Were they a little too early last year? Like, did they outplay expectations, and will they regress this year? Because when you're looking at the team, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the lone all-star. So that begs the question, will Shai Gilgeous-Alexander be in a prime situation to earn MVP consideration, to get that MVP nod? Or will he play at the all-NBA level again? Because, again, I did say OKC, it could be a little early. So if he's viewed as the lone all-star, does he regress a little bit? Is the focus more so on Shai now? That's what I'm curious to see, because if he's able to play at an MVP level, this OKC team might be a little surprising. I'm just saying. Then, well, will OKC's youth finally show this season? Again, I talked about it earlier, a little earlier. They were ahead of the curve in the playoff hunt. Well, they still got quite a few draft picks of players that were drafted not too long ago. Remember that. So even though, yes, they displayed some success last season, there's still a chance they could falter and show their youth, their young team. Youth brings dumbness. It brings stupidity. So I expect to see a little regression from OKC, but not enough where it makes me worry. Again, you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Josh Giddey, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren. You have a solid young core. I expect something to work. Now, we got to talk about the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies have got to have lessons learned, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, they have got to have lessons learned, man. Ja Morant's expectations on his return. He's suspended for 25 games. I expect this man to fall in line, and I expect has a little optimism involved as well. Now, based on his track record, I don't really have nothing to say, oh, Ja's learned his lesson. I'm assuming the Grizzlies will be moving right along, and you got to, as Ja Morant, ask yourself, if they continue to do this, what is my real value on the team? You got to think, well, I wonder if management going to be thinking that same thing. You're a talented player. Those intangibles will start to outweigh the talent real quick, especially if your team is producing and they seem to be a star away, which is what you are. So my expectations for Ja Morant is to return to star status. We're not going to get no all-NBAs, not going to get no all-stars. You just got to go out there and hoop, bro. Give me a 25, 28 point a game, seven assists, and show some effort on the defensive end, because you're going to have the legs. You're going to be suspended for 25 games. That's over half. That's over a fourth of the season. So That's what I'm expecting from Ja Morant. And then Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bane. What have they learned from prior year? Because you're going to have to showcase, well, you are mature enough to handle your team. Because this is the evaluation period for you, not just from the Grizzlies, but from the NBA. Where are you in your development? Can you be the guy that is given the keys? That's what we're looking to see. So if you can be, then great. Like, that's going to be tremendous for the Grizzlies, and you might be there long term. If not, well, you might be tradable eventually. But this is that evaluation period for you guys personally. And I'm especially looking at Jaren Jackson Jr. because, well, you got someone like Marcus Smart, who was a reigning depoy. So I expect him to help you out in terms of not fouling out, but then also your confidence and your maturity. So that's what I'm looking for. And someone like Derrick Rose tutoring not only Ja Morant when he returns, but Desmond Bane. So again, I'm expecting a good amount from the Grizzlies, but those storylines I'm definitely curious about because it's more than basketball, ladies and gentlemen. That's a personal development story for me. Now, I know y'all have been looking forward to this one, man. It's not a top storyline, but I had to put in the honorable mentions. The Spurs and Victor Wembanyama, or maybe I should have said Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs, right? I'm still crying because one of my boys made a $200 bet or $100 bet. I got to double check the video now, to saying that the Spurs would have a better record than my Lakers. Wild. It's crazy. But it's enough of a storyline where when you see Victor Wembanyama play, it's actually surprising. Like, I saw him playing in preseason. Hey, bro, like when he gets stronger, it's going to be a problem for the league. I'm telling y'all. But right now, it could be a little early. So I'm looking to see that development of Victor Wembanyama, who, when he goes up against players like Giannis, players like Jaren Jackson Jr., even like an Evan Mobley, who might be a little skinny right now, but still is a good comparison to defend because he has at least about 6'11", lanky and mobile enough. I want to see Victor go up against those players because that'll tell us how he'll do for the future of the league. Again, I think about 3-4 seasons, Victor will start dominating, but you got to get stronger and you got to get that experience. Then, most importantly, almost, and I say almost, and I know that's contradictory, but the rest of the players on the Spurs, are they going to get jealous? Like, that's what I'm actually curious about. Because we're talking about Victor Wembanyama. Notice I even said Victor Wembanyama and Spurs, right? Are those other players going to get jealous? Keldon Johnson, good player. Jeremy Sokan, good player. Devin Vassell, just got an extension, good player. I need y'all to know your roles. Victor Wembanyama is the supposed star of the team. If y'all want to outplay him, do that. But there's no point. There is no reason to be jealous over Victor Wembanyama. I understand why jealousy would occur. No reason to be so. But that's the storyline that I'm paying attention to because I highly doubt people are going to be talking about his teammates like that. Just saying. Now, I'm going to cut this one up because it's two teams that I do like, but I'm not going to talk about them both because you can kind of regurgitate the same points. So we got to talk about the Rockets and the Pistons. Funny enough, they both drafted the Thompson twins, Ajer and Amen. Now, here's the thing, though. For both teams, my questions are, which of the three young guns are going to emerge? There's a lot of talent. There actually might be more talent in Detroit than it is in Houston. I got to look back at that. But it's a lot of talent to kind of skim through and see which one would you prefer? And like I said, like that might be a poll for another discussion. And I've asked a few people, like, what do they think? And that's a video already. But right now, that's what I'm going to be focusing on, what the organizations decide, because we have our answers. I'm curious what the organizations will decide based on the play from the young guns. Now, also, you got to consider who has the best NBA All-Star chances out of these young guns. I personally say Cade Cunningham does, but you also have players like a Jalen Green, like an Alperen Sengun. Like, you never know. One of those names could pop up in the NBA All-Star race, at least voting wise. So I'm curious about those storylines because it is starting to hit that point in time in their career where you start talking about NBA All-Star berths. So again, for those honorable mentions, you heard them all. We're going to be covering them, but we got some other ones to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you right now, these are some good topics, boy. Woo! Hope y'all stay tuned because I'm excited. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So listen, we are here at the entertaining segment of the listings. All right. And when I say this, the rest of all these topics are entertaining. Okay. But I gotta say these are particularly entertaining for me. So with that being said, we got to start it all. Matter of fact, let's go in reverse order this time. So we got to talk about here the 76ers. And for starters, when I say this, these teams can win the title. Just a little question mark because of these storylines. That's why I say they entertain it. So the 76ers here, right? Well, we got Joel Embiid. You know, he's cool with the reigning MVP. Tyrese Maxey looks to have a good season. Well, James Harden seems to be trouble yet again. And, well, you know, initially he was saying he doesn't want to play for Daryl Morey. Now he wants to play for the 76ers, but he only got one more season. So why not play for one more season? I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think that's going to be a big problem for the rest of this season until he is traded. And it's sad because, well, I mean, you could have actually made it work, Philly, if James Harden was, one, a slightly better defender, and then two, willing to play for the 76ers. Because you did end up getting more help this season with Kelly Oubre. So I think that would have been nice to see. But, you know, we're here now. It is what it is. Also, I'm curious to see what in the world is James Harden's trade value. Because I don't think the 76ers will get the fair value that they're looking for. It's unfortunate. It really is. Because, again, he's an all-NBA caliber player. And you might have to settle for a starter and like some scrubs. Yeah, scrubs. Because, you know, against us, they might dog walk us, right? But scrubs in the NBA. So that's unfortunate. But it's entertaining because you're still going to have a competing 76ers team. And will James Harden play? Will James Harden not play? Will that lead to his trade value going up or down? Like, we'll see how it goes. Because, again, he only has one more season to play under contract with these 76ers. Should be interesting to follow. And then, well, finally, will Embiid stay engaged? I don't know. Will Maxey stay focused and keep progressing? How will Tobias Harris actually perform? Like, that's what I'm curious about. Will Tobias Harris now be overly utilized? Because the role that Toby was in, I love that. And maybe Maxey can be that number 2 and Toby can be number 3 and Kelly can be number 4 and then Toby and Kelly can interchange. But now starting to get a little tricky. It's a lot of moving parts now. So that's a lot of stuff that I'm going to be focusing on as well with the 76ers. Because, again, those 4 players should be quite integral in the 76ers success this season. But they got to see what happens with this whole James Harden situation. That's why I say it's entertaining for me. They could go from contenders to pretenders in a matter of seconds. So we'll see what shakes. We'll see what happens with the 76ers, ladies and gentlemen. But now we got to talk about the Pelicans, all right? The Pelicans, they've had some off-season stories, but I think the main storyline is Zion's health, right? If the brother is healthy, are we really going to be talking about the Pelicans outside the playoffs? We've seen them in the hunt for the top spot before, quite often. So I wholeheartedly expect that to be a key storyline because, well, when Zion's playing, like I say, he gives you about 27, 28 a game with about 8 rebounds, 4 assists, blocking the steal, something slight. Like, that ain't bad at all. And, well, factoring in someone like Brandon Ingram as well, can he be healthy? And can he also play up to his capabilities? Like, I need to see all NBA caliber Brandon Ingram, not just all-star Brandon Ingram. But that's what's really going to set this Pelicans team over the edge. But again, those 2 storylines are key for me. Not CJ McCollum, not Trey Murphy Jr., not any looming trades unless it's involving these 2. Because these 2 are the heads of the snake. All right. So again, the health hasn't been there in the past. It hasn't. And I hate it too because they Duke boys. I love my Duke fellas. But that's going to be focused on throughout the year. Because if they're healthy, they're going to be around the top. And if they're not healthy, they're going to be middle of the pack. But we'll see how that goes. Like I said, we'll be focusing on it all throughout the season. Now, we're going to have to talk about the Kings, the Sacramento Kings. This is an entertaining storyline for me because last season, a lot of people were talking about how the Kings weren't worth much. Oh, they haven't been to the playoffs since 2006, 2007, blah, 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 blah. Well, they made it to the playoffs, and they're looking to return, but they're also looking to elevate, not just on the defensive end. They were one of the top teams offensively, but defensively, they did leave a lot to be desired. So I'm looking at the following storylines. De'Aaron Fox. Will he play at an MVP season? Like, I'm curious because when you look at it, this team hasn't had too much turnover. You got Sabonis returning, Keegan Murray returning, Harrison Barnes returning, Malik Monk returning, Kevin Huerter returning. Outside of Sabonis, unless Keegan Murray takes a big jump, I think you're going to look at De'Aaron Fox as the lead dog. And he's got to get the MVP considerations. And I do expect De'Aaron Fox to take us another small leap because, he is a quality player and timing is everything. And right now, his prime years are starting to hit. And he's developed a jump shot. He was Mr. Clutch last year. The brother can score. He's quick. Like, what he can pass. Like, he can defend. I expect him to take another jump. A little one, not a big one, a little one. So, yeah, he played MVP season, a level this season. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing. Then also, players like Domantas Sabonis. Hey, I'm not expecting you to be a defensive anchor, but can you be a Pau Gasol-esque power forward? Because Pau Gasol was hitting me that mid-range, and I ain't really too confident about Domantas Sabonis. Like, brother, I put you down for 10 to 15 points a game, and I should be putting you down for 15 to 20 points a game. And I'm talking about on FanDuel, and I smartly and maturely place money on bets. But I need to see that increase for you. So I'd like to see 15 to 20 a game consistently, but then also extend your shooting range just a little bit. I'm not talking about chucking threes, but extending the range a little bit because De'Aaron Fox will need a little help. And finally, Keegan Murray. I do want to see if you can take another jump. I know you can shoot the ball well, but this team is going to need a lockdown defender. And you're pegged to be the guy. Like, amongst wings, you're going to be that guy. So that's the storyline why I say the Kings are going to be entertaining. Because if a couple of those do happen, ladies and gentlemen, we could be talking about the Kings in the Western Conference Finals, and that's wild to say. But them boys can hoop. So if a few of those things go true, we might be talking about the Kings in the finals, West Conference Finals. Sorry about that. Now we got to talk about here the Mavericks, the Dallas Mavericks. Look, I don't know how else to say this. We're just going to be looking to see how well Luka and Kyrie dominate, how well that duo pairs. Because when you look down the rest of the roster, who else they got? Like, no disrespect to Tim Hardaway Jr. I'm talking about give me an all-star player on this roster. Don't worry, I'll wait because there's not one. So you got to dominate with this duo. Luka, some say top 5. I say top 10 player in the NBA right now. Kyrie, if you ask ESPN, they have that brother at 41. That's disrespectful. He should at least be an honorable mention for the NBA All-Stars. Like which, by the way, is All-Stars is 1 through 24. So he's got to be in the 30, 30 on up. That's what Kyrie is, worst case. And that's what you got to pair with for this squad. So, I mean, if you hear rankings, I could talk about other teams that might have higher quote-unquote rankings. But this duo can get a bucket. They can play make, and they need other players to play their role, which also is a storyline. What are the other players' roles? Because I am curious. They got some solid young stars or some young players on their team, that complement and kind of cross over into what Kyrie and Luka do. When I say complement, I mean defensively they complement, but offensively they can also shoot and score as well. So I'm curious what everyone's role going to be and how well the development of those roles are going to. So again, that's the storyline. You might not think that's that entertaining, but we're going to see Luka Doncic all the time unless he's injured. We're going to see Kyrie Irving all the time unless he's injured. You don't think that's going to be entertaining to watch? And we've already seen the Dallas Mavericks get to the Western Conference Finals before. It's a possibility, long shot, but possibility. So that's why I say it's entertaining. But we got to talk about now the team that put the Dallas Mavericks out of least, the Warriors, because they do have a title window. They do. But you got to ask, well, who's going to help Steph Curry out to achieve that title window? And not only that, but how much does Steph Curry actually have left in the tank? Because brother is getting a little older now. But I mean, everyone else is too, and he seems to be in pretty decent shape. But that title warrior or that title window that the Warriors have, when I say who's going to help out Steph, well, you do have Andrew Wiggins back now. You have CP3. Hopefully, Klay Thompson can prove to us that last year wasn't him losing a step. Like, hopefully Draymond Green can turn the page and prove that his contract is worth it. Like, you need somebody to showcase and step up. But we also got other players like Jonathan Kuminga as well. So I do think this Warriors team has a talented title shot at winning this year. So if you want to put money on them, that's not bad. But it's got to start with Steph Curry dominating at least like around 30 points a game. Unless somebody want to step up, but like 30 points a game, like 28 to 30 points a game, I got to see nothing less from Steph Curry. That's what this team brings me. Unless CP3 want to score a little more. But again, he just came off last season where I was hurting because CP3 didn't want to put down 10 points a game, it seemed like. So CP3, this is your last title window, I'm assuming. Or I guess depending on what team you go to next, right? You gotta step up, but not step up too much. I don't need you being a starter. That's a role for Steve Kerr, though. That's a question for Steve Kerr. I need you to make sure these players get into their spots, mask their shortcomings, and you're in an open floor space. Like this, the system that you have is going to be wonderful. So I expect you to dice up any defense, score the way you want to, pass the way you want to. But CP3, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, those are the three people I'm looking at this season to help out Steph Curry and the Warriors with this title shot window. Because those three don't really do anything the way I'm expecting. I don't know what are we doing here? So that's why I say those are my entertaining stories, ladies and gentlemen. And if you don't agree, that's cool. You can tell me your stories as well, and we can see if they need to change. But you can stay tuned because we have the top ones coming up very soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So look, my top 5 focus this year. It's the top 5 storylines for the NBA season, at least for me. And well, I think the media and the masses, pretty much anybody should be loving these storylines. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about them, shall we? Now, we're gonna have to kick it off. We're gonna have to kick it off. Do I want to do my team? I'm gonna do my team, my Los Angeles Lakers. You know what I mean? Because we got a lot of storylines actually, but I'm gonna focus on just a couple because I could be up here for a while. So we have here, Anthony Davis, right? Is he gonna take on the mantle? Is he gonna be the guy? Is he gonna essentially dominate? Because when Anthony Davis is dominating, bro, he's a top 5 player in the league, like offensively and defensively. Well, really, there's not a better two-way player you can make an argument for. You could say Giannis, you could say Kawhi, you can make an argument for Anthony Davis as well. So again, will Anthony Davis dominate? And I think based on last year, you have a recipe. You have a recipe for success. I don't want to get too emotional. I don't want to get too invested. I'm just saying it's a possibility. It's a strong possibility. because we were talking about how he was playing like, every other game. It's like, where he at? Or his health factors, right? His health issues, his health woes. Well, now, as long as that you can't control health, like a little bit, but you got to do it. You can't manage that, but so much. So as long as he's healthy, I do expect him to have a chip on the shoulder, have a better team around, for him to be more engaged, and us to not talk about LeBron James as much. Like, we still gonna talk about Bron. Don't get it twisted. All right, like LeBron James is still a top 10 player in the league, but he's getting older. We need to pass that mantle off at some point in time. Should have done it a long time ago. Health was a factor. I get it. I hear you. That's the storyline for me. Will we be able to talk about Anthony Davis more than we do LeBron James? At least in the game of basketball. Outside of hoops, maybe not. But the game of basketball, will he be more relevant for my Lakers than Bron? And he has the talent to do so. Also, I ain't gonna talk about Bron too much. So we got here other role players. Well, who gonna step up and be that quote unquote third banana? I know people want to talk about Austin Reeves, but don't sleep on people like Christian Wood. All right, because Christian Wood is pretty solid. We still got D'Lo. There's a bunch of players we have on the team. Who gonna show up? And I don't want to hear, oh, you'll have an inconsistent third option. No, I don't want to hear that. I need a consistent third option. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing from my Lakers. Because if we can have all that occur, where Bron's now my second banana, AD's at the top of the charts, and we got a consistent third option, we got enough depth to get to the finals. So that's why I say this is a top 5 storyline. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is a contending team. And I'm not being biased because I'm a fan. Matter of fact, I took my Laker jersey off just to show y'all I ain't being biased about this one. So it's top storyline. You got to focus on the Lakers this season. They're going to be doing big things, barring injury. And even still, if they have injury, they have the depth to kind of to not fall too far back. But, depending on what injuries happen, that's another story for another day. But now we can go ahead and talk about the rivals of the Los Angeles Lakers, my Los Angeles Lakers. And that would be the Boston Celtics. Because here, well, the Celtics actually, and I kind of wanted to put them in that 4th spot, they have a big 4. Like, well, do they? We may have to talk about that for a second, because you got here Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, and Drew Holiday. I know a lot of y'all are looking at Drew Holiday as like, whoa, Drew? Well, Drew's actually been one of the most, if not the most, disrespected players in the game. And NBA players have said that. Hell, even Andre Iguodala said that recently. So if I'm looking at that team, they've been to the finals, not this team, but like this Celtics squad, the young core, has been to the finals already. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals. They've had a lot of success. They are now entering the prime years, ladies and gentlemen. So that's going to beg the question, well, will they win it this year? It's a championship or bust year for them. Is that plain and simple? Going forward, that's my expectations for the Boston Celtics. Championship or bust. You have Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, arguably one of the best duos in the game. And they could convince folk this season they're the best. I know people talking about Jaylen Brown's left hand. He's also bringing in 26 points a game. So, I mean, and an elite level defender. So, again, when we're talking about this Celtics team, Big 4 does come to mind, and the championship should be underway. But we also have, okay, I hear you. Like, you might need more players because you have Al Horford who's getting older. What's Peyton Pritchard going to do? I get that. Hell, you might even say Derek White was probably having a lucky year last year. Nah, he didn't. He actually had a pretty productive year last year. I expect him to do something similar. But they got enough bench presence to get over that hump. So I feel like it's sufficient. Could it be better? Yes. But the Celtics will have enough talent to make them a contender this season, and they will be entertaining. They could have 4 All-Stars this year. They should have 3, but no, could have 3. could have 3 or 4. I'll say that. I was trying to figure because KP could play up to all-star level too, and Drew Holiday could get some love as well if the Celtics are at the top of the charts, bro. I'm just saying the Celtics are that dangerous, so that's what I'm saying. You need to watch out for them. I know people are talking about on other teams, but Celtics, they are a team as well. Now we got to talk about here the Phoenix Suns. We got to talk about the Phoenix Suns because okay. I know I mentioned about big foes with the Boston Celtics, but this Sun team did have a big four at one point in time. Now have a solid big three with more depth, and it does actually beg a couple questions. One, can they dominate? Like, can this big three actually dominate? The NBA is getting better, ladies and gentlemen. There's more talent across the board. You got Kevin Durant, who's getting older. He's injury prone. You got D Book, who's entering or who's in his prime. He's had a couple of injuries. Bradley Beal, he's getting a little older, like 31, I believe, 32. He's had some injury issues. So not just from a talent perspective, can they dominate, but can they actually dominate? And then will they be able to gel together? I'm hearing trepidation around, oh, well, they're all around. They're all similar players. I believe they can play together. I mean, you're skilled players who know how to put the ball in the bucket. Like, come on now, they can all get a bucket. They can all play make. Yes, they can all play together. But there's trepidation around it. So we got to see what happens. But again, can they dominate? We'll see. Next, who gonna be that Bruce Brown player for them? Remember the Denver Nuggets, they won the championship, but Bruce Brown was arguably one of the most important players because he was doing a lot of the dirty work. He was at times leading the offense, scoring and assisting, doing a lot of the dirty work on the defensive end, not just hustle plays, but like defensively guarding the best perimeter players and the best wing players as well, out rebounding other teams. Like, who's going to be that guy for the Suns? I have no damn idea. I have not a clue. Like, initially I was going to say, well, maybe DeAndre Ayton could have done it, but he's gone. So now who's going to be it? That's a question mark. I might say Nasir Little has a shot. Bol could be, but Bol seemed too lazy. Like, at least that's word around the street. And I don't want him guarding everybody on the perimeter. He got mobility, but it's going to be interesting to see who they throw. Like Josh Okogie, I know is the first person that comes to mind because he's been that role right now. That's going to be enough to get them over the hump. And again, I like this Sun team. They're a contending team. Hell, Kevin Durant's arguably my favorite player in the NBA right now next to Steph Curry. They do have to prove some stuff, though. But this is going to be a storyline to focus on because this, like I said, they're a contending team that more than likely will get to the playoffs. We just got to see what happens come that health time and who's going to step up for them for their roster. That's going to be it could be drama or it could be beauty. We'll see what happens. Now, we're going to have to talk about the Bucks. We have to talk about the Bucks, bro, because I don't know if their duo is as good as people thinking it is. Like, and when they say duo, you got Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo. I understand them brothers can give you 30 points apiece and like 6-7 assists each. I get that. That's a lot. They did lose a little bit. I don't believe in Chris Middleton as much. They lost Grayson Allen, who actually was a good two-guard for him. Brook Lopez is getting a little older. But more importantly, there's a lot of pressure on this team to figure it out in the next 2 seasons. And I mean, honestly, I could see Giannis losing a title for the next 2 seasons. So you have to convince me that the Milwaukee Bucks is the best destination for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Because in 3 seasons, this brother could leave and go anywhere he wants. So the next 2 seasons, bringing in Damian Lillard was quite pivotal, but it's pressure now to win that championship. And then if you don't win that championship, well, hey, does Dame stay? What happens? Like, you're going to have to rebuild because Giannis is going bye-bye. So I have question marks around this NBA duo. Where does it actually rank amongst the NBA? Because we're talking about other duos out here. They got to showcase that they're the best duo. But that's going to be a storyline. Because again, like I said earlier, they both can give you 30 points. Like that's 60 points and 16 assists between two players. That's disgusting. So if that's what we're looking at, factoring with they do have a contending team. They were the number 1 seed last year. It's not too hard to assume they're going to be talked about this year. They got the star status. You also traded away Drew Holiday, who's now on the Boston Celtics. So if you think that they're not going to be talked about, just off the strength of the Celtics and vice versa, I don't know what to tell you. But that's going to be a storyline to focus on this season. It's a top one. Because, again, I'm already hearing Dame and Giannis as the best NBA duo right now without playing. Like, before preseason hit, that's what I was hearing. So that's got to be a storyline. Because now if they don't win it, hey, after all that trash Dame was talking about, you know what I'm saying? Like, what y'all going to do? And, Lord, please don't let y'all sit up here and get lower than the Portland Trailblazers. It's not going to happen, but just don't let it happen. That's all I'm saying. There's anything that happens, you can't let that happen. You can't. I don't care what happens, dog. Can't. But like I said, that's a little far-fetched too. I just want to make sure that's the case. That's worst case though. That's absolute ball. Like, you might as well retire before that happened, Dame. But now we got to talk about the top storyline. And I think it would be a little unfair if we didn't mention them as such, which is the Denver Nuggets, right? Will they repeat? Will they run it back? You know what I'm saying? Because, well, they do have at least perceived to be the best NBA duo in Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Okay, you know, they won a championship. You can say that about them, right? Will they run it back? Like, will they be able to use that same one-trick pony to get over the hump? By the way, they don't have Bruce Brown and Jeff Green no more. So they would actually have to dominate. That could be tough because, like I said, other teams are getting better and improving. So will they be able to? That's another story for another day. Or will they be able to dominate better than other NBA duos? Well, I mean, you know, if that doesn't happen, they at least got some talent to bank on, but we need to see this occur. Michael Porter Jr., you got to stop falling in love. You have to stop falling in love with Tracy, okay? I'm going to need you to get in the car and drive right fast, all right? Be a little bit more forceful, too. Like, floor it by dadgummit. Like, floor that mug. Because I'm tired of seeing you just shooting the ball and settling. You're about a 6'10" small forward, but really a shooting guard. Because you playing like you just shooting the ball all the time. And I'm tired of seeing you're settling way too much. You should be averaging 22 points a game, at least 3-4 assists, 8 rebounds, more effort on the defensive end, especially with blocks. Like, that's what I'm looking at. So if we can get you to elevate in that capacity, the Nuggets might have some. But then I'm also looking at their depth too, because, well, outside of their starting 5, which is Jamal Murray, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic, who else you got? I mean, Christian Braun is out there, and that's cool. They got Reggie Jackson, too. I think they had Reggie last year, though, and they didn't use him. Do they still have Thomas Bryant? Like, you see where I'm going with this? I know they got Jalen Pickett. He's a rookie this year. The depth is my question mark. Like 5 through 10, 6 through 10, I have question marks. Even with Christian Braun, I have question marks. Good young player, showed some promise. You got to prove some stuff. So this is a storyline because if they could repeat, that would be quite interesting. And I think people are kind of looking at this team as like the new age Spurs. So if they do run it back, hey, dog, like maybe they might be the new age Spurs. But this is the storyline to focus on because you also got Jokic in it. You know, if they dominating, is Jokic not in the MVP discussion? And Jamal Murray, if he's not dominating, he might be in the All-NBA category. definitely an all-star category. So these are my top storylines, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be focusing on all of these all year long. Honorable mentions, I'll give a little, I'll give a little sham too. The entertaining ones, I might try to make it a little funny. And then the top focus, well, I'm gonna be focused, lasered in on them bad boys. But if y'all got any other stories that y'all think I should be following or that I should be paying attention to, please let me know. But also, please like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone about the show. My name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. Hope you all are having a good one. Take care.
Oh, I did not know you guys were still here. As you can see, we're at the back end of the show. No pun intended, but look, hope you all enjoyed it. And before you go, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow the IG account, share the content to anybody who's anybody. And most importantly, leave your thoughts and comments below. But I got to go back and play Buddy in 2K, so let me unmute him real quick. Excuse me. Hey, boss, I'm back. Nah, you better catch this word. You know we get buckets around here, too.